turn the recording back on, sorry. You can choose any airport key code from anywhere in the world. So the first thing is choosing your city. And do you want to choose any city in the world? You just need to choose, a city that has an airport. It has to be a real airport. It can't be made up or from fiction. There is a link here. There's a link, sorry, down here for Wikipedia of how to locate all the different cities of the airport key codes and what that's all about. So we are first going to choose that tonight, actually. So we're going to start off by choosing an airport, a city, and some airports for service more than one city, and that's okay. But we just need to know that as we go into it, because what we're going to be doing is choosing a key code for that city. So for example, who can tell me what Chicago's key code is for their for O'Hare?
ORD.
ORD, exactly, ORD. And so when we think about Chicago, ORD obviously doesn't, look like the word Chicago. It's not like CHI, right? It's ORD. It doesn't feel like Chicago. Milwaukee is MKE, which is an abbreviation for the city. Los Angeles has LAX. Denver has DEN. So some of them feel more like the city name, and some of them, like Chicago, ORD, really don't relate to the name of the city. So it just depends. So you do want to choose an existing real key code. And you want to choose a city that you have some affinity for, like, maybe you're from there, or you have it's a favorite vacation place. Maybe your family is from there, or it's a place you've always wanted to visit and you have a real interest in it. And we're going to do a little bit of research about these places. But so when we think about doing an identity for the key code of the airport, it's going to be just typographic. There's going to be no additional shapes, no symbols, no ornaments, no illustrations, or other graphic elements may be incorporated. It's going to be just a letter mark that's clearly recognizable, and the viewer must be able to read the letters in the right order. So if it's ORD, it has to be ORD. You can't mix up the letters or have them in the wrong order. They have to read in the correct order. So that's going to be important. Considerations. When you're choosing your city or place, you have to think about, is this a heavy or light? Is this a historic city? Like, is it Europe, like something like in Italy? It might be very historic, and we might want to think about very old style Colosseum, kind of like old places that have been around centuries. Or is it something that's more new and modern, like, Miami Beach? So what do we need to think about for the look and feel of the place that we're designing for? We need to think about the history, the geography, the culture. We need to think about the signature qualities of that place. Next, we need to think about the letter form selections. Are they contemporary? Are they traditional, static, active, humanistic, or geometric, or something else? So the first part of our project, we're going to start actually here in class, and that's the information gathering and research. We're going to start thinking about our potential airport selections. We're going to choose a place that you have a deep interest in. You want to think about what visual attributes, characteristics come to mind. We're going to begin to jot down aspects that you believe are vital in conveying these aspects. We're going to research the city and create a word list of 25 minimum describing the city. From this list, you're going to choose your 5 strongest keywords to highlight the spirit of the place. So our goal is to really start thinking about the place and what it means to be in a certain place. Every project, when we start the design process, we always start with research. And so this is no different. Ultimately, we're going to post our word list and our 5 keywords to our individual Slack channels that we've created. All of our process work as we go along the process is going to be posted to our Slack channel. We're also going to be creating a process book, and depending on how much time we have today, I may get through it. We might wait and talk more about the process book next week. I think we probably won't have time for it today. The 2 parts that we're going to do over the weekend this week is we're going to start today in class and we're going to do our mind maps. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that in a minute. We're going to do part 1 and part 2 for homework. Part 2 is our ideation and thumbnail sketch. We're going to work sketching. And so you can use a sketchbook, you can use grid paper, you can use just sheets of bond paper, whatever you are comfortable drawing on. It's completely up to you. We're going to draw 3" by 3" squares in a grid, as many that will fit on a page. And in each square, we're going to use the 3 letters of our airport code. A thumbnail sketch is a quickly drawn visual that gets an idea noted down on paper. The goal for a vast number of the varied ideas. It's not about being super perfect and refined. It's about getting your ideas out of your head and down on the paper. So we really want to make it informative, but it's not perfect, and it doesn't have to be. You want to get as many ideas down as possible, and I like to tell, excuse me, my students to do a design sprint. And we're going to do 3 sets of 3 different ways we're going to approach this design project problem. And I recommend setting a timer and having a timer set for like 25 minutes. And then work for 25 minutes, then take a break. Go have lunch, take your dog for a walk, and then do other homework, what have you. And then come back and do another 25 minutes. Give yourself focused amounts of time that are short design sprints so that you don't get fatigued and you're able to keep coming up with new and fresh ideas. Each sketch is only 3 letters, and we're going to be looking at the general visual qualities that we envision the typeface to have. Remember, we're not using actual typefaces for these thumbnails. They're just sketches. They should sort of suggest the typeface preferred along with its key characteristics, but it needn't fully represent one. We're going to do several sketches exploring different typefaces and configurations. This is the time we're going to try out ideas. This is the time to, no idea is a bad idea. We want to get as many ideas down on paper as possible. Don't edit yourself. Be fearless, be bold, try as many ideas as you possibly can. And so I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing is 36 letter marks, all hand-drawn sketches only. Now, don't freak out. I know you're like, oh my gosh, 36. We're going to break those into 3 different categories, 12 each. And 12 is just like, you can do 6 on each page. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. We're going to divide this into 3 sections. Method 1 is mix. I'm going to share with you a list of typefaces that we're going to use and I'm going to show you how to look them up on Adobe Fonts. Because there's 4,000 typefaces up on Adobe Fonts. So I'm going to help with this first project to limit you down to 12 typefaces to look at and choose from. This takes the stress of trying to pick a typeface out for you. You have only 12 to choose from. It makes it much easier. It's kind of like simplifying that part of the project for you. You'll get to choose a lot from any typeface later on in the semester, but right now we're going to just look at 12. So we're going to look at these 12 typefaces, and the first one is mix. We're going to mix different typefaces. So different typefaces from different type families so that we can kind of see what goes together, what shows contrast, what shows interest, and how can we mix things together. The second method is crop. We're going to take our principle of foreground and figure and ground and crop letter forms so that we can still recognize what letter form they are, but how much can we take away? We can use 2 or 3 different fonts again to create the letter forms, but the goal is to see how much we can remove from the letter form yet still read it as the letter it's supposed to be. And then the last one is morph. Now on this one, I want you to use only one typeface for all 3 letters. And you can do things where you're making one letter move into another letter, or you're making one letter like have rounded edges or squared off edges, and we're going to kind of change and manipulate the shape. And I'm going to show you what that means. Here's my examples. So mix, here's an example of taking sans serif P. That means there are no little fringes on the edges. That's a sans serif P. And a serifed H. These little things on the edge of the H are called serifs. So we're going to have mixing a serifed H with a sans serif X and a sans serif P. So we're mixing two different typefaces. For Atlanta, they're using a regular typeface and an italic typeface, and then they're adding extra elements to it. There's also a little cropping in here, but mostly it's a mix. Crop is the next one, where you can see the legs of the A are gone. They cropped them off. So you have an A, a Z, and an A, but the legs of the A that go towards the Z are missing. They're cropped off. And for this one, for Miami, you can see the stem of the M is missing, a corner of the I is missing, and the leg of the A is missing. So we've cropped letters, but we can still read that it's an M, an I, and an A, even though pieces of the letters are missing. And morph, this is for Warsaw, Poland. The W becomes the A, becomes the W again. So you have the A morphing into the W, morphing into the A, and the A morphing into the W. So they're sharing the same strokes. And then for Denver, what they've done is they've left the bottom edges of the letters pretty consistent with what the original typeface had. But then they went ahead and rounded the corner of the N, rounded the top corner of the E, and then rounded the top corner of the D. And also rounded this bottom edge a little more severely than it was designed originally. So the idea of manipulating the actual typefaces by either having the letters merge into each other or changing the actual shape of them by rounding a part of it or making a part more square if it was more round. So I'm going to show you some sketches. So these are kind of the finished pieces in this example. But what I'm going to show you now are some sketches. Okay, so first part of this assignment is we need to choose a city. So we're going to create a mind map. So the first thing is to choose a city. So this student chose Chicago. Surprise, Chicago. And then did a mind map. What are all the things that we think of with Chicago? Illinois, ORD, the Bulls, the Cubs, the Bears, all the sports, the city. So the first ring is sports, things about Illinois, things about symbols, places within Illinois, and then the city. And then in that, it's like they went to like the city, they went Lollapalooza, concerts, masks, people, food, pizza, hot dogs, skyscrapers, Sears, Willis Tower. That over here in sports, Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Chicago, ORD, airports, Illinois, Midwest, Midwesterner, symbols, windy, blue, stars, red star, red, Lake Michigan, places, lake, you know what I mean? So from all that list, pick the top 5 that they wanted to focus on for their design. Came out to be red stars, windy city, skyscrapers, the loop, and Lala. This student was undecisive and they did a few different ones. So the next one they explored was Italy. Uh-oh, I went too far. And then they did another one for Dublin, Ireland. Okay, they ultimately chose Chicago. And the 5 adjectives that they went with were strong, powerful, tall, bright, bold, windy, and contrasted, varied. They did some research on the colors of Chicago, did some research on luggage tags. And then here is their sketches, the part that we're going to be working on this week. I'll zoom a little bit more. So I want you to see, we're organizing these into 3 sets of 12. So here's the first set, mix. And so the idea here is mixing different typefaces. So you can see these are all hand drawn. We're not using the computer. We're not using real fonts. Most importantly, we're working digitally. So labeling our work is really important so we can give feedback as we're working together. So you're creating a grid of boxes, 3 inches by 3 inches. So what fits nicely on an 8.5, 11 is about 6 boxes. Okay. So you have 6 boxes. Above each one, you indicate which method you're using. So this first grouping is mix. So she has mix 1, mix 2, 3, 4, and etc., all the way to mix 12. And so when you can see there's little red stars here. So when sharing this with her small group, they can start marking them and indicating, and we can talk about like mix 12 or mix 8. Having them labeled is really important. So you can see these are not precious. They're just getting ideas down. So here's an example where she's filling in the counters of the letters. Like, what would that look like? Here's where it's, cutting a letter in half and mixing a bold letter on one side and a thin letter on the other side. What would that look like? Then over here on crop, you can see playing with positive space, negative space. How much of a letter can I take away? Does it still read as a D if I take the whole stem away? What if it's a shadow? So on and so forth. We're not using color, so ignore the fact that they used some color. We're just going to be working in black and white. And then last one is morph. And so you can see, especially here in this one, where like the O and the R and the D are all kind of morphing into each other and really kind of very loopy into each other. And this one, you can see the D is looping all the way over here to the O. You can see these are just 3 letters, like kind of all stacked on top of each other, like pancakes. This one feels like it's almost animating. So you can see these are just as many ideas as you can get down. So I'm going to go back. So those are the 3 methods. Those are some examples of the sketching. So things to keep in mind. How are each of your letters constructed, designed, or deconstructed, taking them apart? What characteristics are the same? How much do we need of a letter form to recognize it? That's going to be real important. Like, how much can we take away and it still reads like the correct letter form? Because sometimes if we take too much away, it becomes a different letter form. So like if we took too much off the P, it might look like a D, things like that. You have to pay attention to what we can take away yet still read. How far can you push legibility? Thumbnail sketches should represent both refinements of design ideas, several drawings that are similar to each other, and variety of compositional ideas, several significantly different presentations of the same letters, and several explorations of different letters. Don't be fooled by the term sketch. This doesn't mean messy, haphazard, or careless. These are sketches because they're early in the design process and are intended to help you work through ideas. With a project focused upon formal composition, a sloppy thumbnail sketch is not useful because it doesn't represent the true composition. So we want to make sure that you're not being too precious with them, but I don't want you to be sloppy either. We have to be able to recognize what they are, like the example I just shared. So ultimately, you're going to be doing 36 sketches minimum. You can always do more. You want to label them. They're 3 sets of 12, right? Mix, morph, and crop. And we're going to post them to our Slack channel. Make sure you label each one of them and make sure that they're legible when we're looking at them. So let me tell you about the 12. Well, let me pause here for a minute. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to share with you hold on, let me see. I gotta move the little screen sharing thing. There we go. Okay, you want to go to your Creative Cloud link And if you're on a Mac, it's up in your top menu bar. If you're on a PC, it's by your Windows button. And you want to go to your Creative Cloud link. Once you're at your Creative Cloud link, are you guys seeing my Creative Cloud window popping up? Okay, I want to make sure we're seeing it. You want to click the little F for fonts. It's up in the upper corner. And mine came right to my fonts. And then this shows you your active fonts, the fonts that you currently have active. What you're going to want to do is say browse more fonts. And it's going to bring us to our Adobe page. There, it's linking in to mine. Good. I'm going to pull my Blackboard page over real quick. On Blackboard, where is where's my list of, oh yeah, here's my list. Down at the bottom of the assignment folder is my list of our 12 approved fonts. The fonts that you're going to be able to look at for reference, and we're going to be using for this assignment, we have 6 serif typefaces and 6 sans serif typefaces. The serif typefaces are Bodoni, Garamond Premier, Adobe Jensen, Kepler, and Utopia. And the sans serif typefaces are Futura PT, PT Sans, ATF Franklin Gothic, Gill Sans Nova, and Acumen. So then when I'm over here on my Adobe fonts, there's a search bar. I can just type in any of my type on that list and select it. My screen's running a little slowly, sorry. Let's see if I can get it to reload. Why is this taking? Oh, okay. I just came back. Let me just try. I don't know why Kepler's taking so long. Let's try Futura. Okay, so here's Futura. So you can see a couple key things to know. Futura is the typeface. Each member of the family, the typeface is the family. So think about like the typeface is like Futura is like your last name. You have a big family, you have cousins, uncles, a lot of people with your last name. So that's the same thing when we think of typefaces. The typeface is Futura. Each font is each member of the family. So Futura PT Light is a font. Futura PT Light Oblique is a font. When they're all together, they're a typeface. So that's a way to think about the difference of font and typeface. Look through and you can say make all fonts active. So when I say you can use Futura, it's not just one font, it's the whole typeface. So that means Futura goes from everything from light, like you're seeing here, all the way to this extra bold typeface. See how thick it goes. So that's all Futura, whether it's this big extra bold version or this very thin light version. It also has an italic and it also has a condensed. So if I want something condensed, very narrow, I can go with a condensed version. I can go italic, bold, very thin. It's a very versatile face. So there's lots of options within Futura itself. So even though I've given you only 12 typefaces, there are, each typeface has multiple variations within. There's like over a dozen here in Futura alone. And so then you just choose to make the font active. Mine's already active. I already have Futura active in my font library. But you just hit the button to make all fonts active. Or if you wanted just specific ones, you can individually make just specific fonts. You can make the whole typeface active up here, or just specific ones within. But I tend to like to choose the whole typeface. So I would do the top one, which turns everything on. And that means you get the whole family, not just one of the cousins. Okay. Does everyone understand how to turn their typefaces on? Any questions about that? Okay. What we're going to do next is we're going to take a moment. We've heard me talk. We're going to now do something. So I'm going to put you all in small groups and we're going to go back to Mural. And I have set up some boards, and each board, there's a group 1, group 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to put you into 4 groups. You're going to be randomly the breakout group you're going to be in will tell you what room you're in. And then when you go to Mural, you're going to choose your board based on the room that you've been put in, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. What you're going to find on Mural is that I've put together mind mapping activity. So each of you are going to work in a small group and start by choosing your airport and your city / airport. Look up the airport code for it. And then you're going to work together on creating mind maps. And you'll see there are 4. Each one of you will have your own mind map, but you're all going to work together on the same Mural board for your small group. And you can work together on helping each other. You can talk about it. You're going to be in your own small groups in your Zoom breakout room, and you'll be working on your own Mural board for your small group. Does that make sense? The idea is to get a good start on our homework, to kind of get you not overthinking it. Just kind of choose your city, and we're going to go for it. So I am going to do 2 things. I'm going to put the link for Mural, because I don't know if we have, make sure everyone has that handy to get to the Mural boards. So share, copy link. I'm going to put it into our chat. There's my chat. Okay, so there's the link to the Mural. And I'm going to put us in a breakout room. And we're going to do this for about 30 minutes. And then we're going to sign automatically. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 25 minutes. I think we're going to do it for 25 minutes, and then we'll see how far we can get. It's okay if you don't finish, but I wanted you to get a good start. And the idea is to help each other out, brainstorm together. It's helpful to kind of get it all together quicker. So I'm going to get the room started. Let me see, do I have everyone equally put into a room? Let's just take a quick peek here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So there we go. Did I make 4 rooms? I did, right? Yeah. When you get there, you can just choose. There'll be a mind map template on in the mural board and choose one based on your room that you're in. And I'm going to go ahead and open all the rooms. Of course, if you need me, you can put anything in the chat, or you can also Slack me if you have a question as we're going along. Ethan, did you join your room? Ethan, there we go. Okay.